Doubling a savings rate sounds like a stunt, the kind of promise attached to a spreadsheet that ignores the mess of real life. The truth is less dramatic and more durable. Over 6 months, you can re-architect your week so money slides into the right places without needing a hero's willpower. The plan is not a diet, it's a renovation. You move the walls, widen the doors, and reroute the plumbing so the house works even on your most tired Wednesdays. 6 months is the perfect horizon, long enough to stack habits until they stick, short enough to feel the results before your enthusiasm fades. You won't love every step, but you will love how the month feels by the end, calmer, simpler, and pointed at a future you chose. Begin with the understanding that a savings rate is not a number you chase at month end. It is a system that fires on payday. The first month exists to build rails. You split your money into lanes that do not argue, a bills account that pays fixed costs automatically, a savings and goals account with named sub-accounts, and a free spend lane for everything variable. You list your fixed bills once, verify dates, and move them to autopay. You set up automatic transfers from your income source on the same day each paycheck lands, a base amount to the emergency fund, a modest amount to a general goals fund, and a drip into investments if you're not already investing. You are not aiming for heroics in month 1. You're proving that money can move without your permission. You also choose the single number you will glance at during the week, the free spend balance. Not your total net worth, not your portfolio, one number. It becomes the dashboard for daily life while the other lanes run in the background. While the rails are being installed, you set the stage for food because half of the chaos lives in the kitchen. You pick 5 dinners you can cook without a recipe and write them on a note that stays on the fridge or home screen. You shop for those meals and a few staples that assemble fast: eggs, oats, rice, beans, frozen vegetables, a protein you like, a sauce you don't hate. You are not attempting cuisine, you are building a default that defeats panic at 6:30. You decide which 2 nights this week are for eating out or seeing friends, so the budget for fun is planned rather than apologetic. The point of all this is not to make you a monk. It is to remove the 3 most expensive delivery decisions that arrive when you are hungry and underslept. By the end of the first month, you have a calm kitchen and a money flow that can survive forgetfulness. Month 2 is for trimming quiet leaks and writing rules you can follow mid-scroll. You run a 10-minute audit where you search card statements for the words subscription, renewal, and trial, then you cancel what doesn't make this week better. You call your internet and phone providers, ask for loyalty discounts or lower tiers, and diarize the renewal date. You review insurance with an eye toward redundancy and deductibles you can handle. You remove saved cards from browsers, turn off promotional notifications, and bury shopping apps in a folder 2 swipes deep. You set alerts in your banking app for purchases over a number you choose and for low balance in your free spend lane. You create a 48-hour list in your Notes app for any non-essential purchase. It can be bought after it sits for 2 days, never before. These are not moral gestures, they are design choices. Friction enters the places where you spend by reflex. Ease enters the places where you save on purpose. By the end of the second month, you've lowered fixed costs, caged impulses behind a small delay, and added tripwires that catch mistakes before they grow teeth. Month 3 is where income gets attention without demanding a second life. You do not need a new identity as a hustler. You need a tiny sprint that increases cash flow for a defined period and feeds only one thing, your savings rate. You inventory skills you already sell at your day job or through experience. Maintenance retainer work for small businesses, tutoring, resume or portfolio edits, simple web updates, bookkeeping cleanup, lawn care routes, pet sitting, tech setups for neighbors. You price small, fixed outcomes instead of hours, batch delivery, and limit the sprint to 30 to 90 days. Every dollar earned goes straight to your emergency fund and investments, according to a rule you write on paper. The sprint ends when the calendar says so, not when you're exhausted. In parallel, you ask for more leverage where you already work. You quantify one outcome you caused, revenue added, hours saved, errors removed, and you put it in front of a manager with one clear ask. A 2% raise you keep through automation will matter more than most side projects you abandon. By the end of month 3, you've bent the income line a little and the savings line a lot. Month 4 is for right-sizing the big levers you were afraid to touch. Housing, transportation, and healthcare are the huge gears that determine whether every other decision matters. You examine your housing payment in the light of your actual life. If it is choking your month, you decide what lever you will pull at renewal: a longer term for a smaller bump, a move one ring out for lower rent, a roommate for a season, or a pause on renovations so your cash can recover. If you own, you check whether refinancing terms exist that buy your calm back without gambling. If not, you design a stay plan focused on longevity, low maintenance, and small upgrades that solve real irritations. You look at the car and the cost around the car: payment, insurance, fuel, maintenance. If your vehicle is an identity project rather than a tool, you consider selling into something reliable and paid off, plus a diagnosis fund so repairs never surprise you into debt. You also block an hour to review benefits and health practices. Are you in the right plan for your usage? Are you contributing to an HSA or FSA where appropriate? Are you scheduling preventive care that stops small problems from large bills? Month 4 is often where a household frees hundreds without feeling deprived, because the cuts are not cuts, they are redesigns. Month 5 addresses the psychology that keeps budgets brittle: boredom and social gravity. You curate your inputs. You mute accounts that sell you things you did not want before you saw them. You subscribe to 2 or 3 sources that teach craft, health, and money calmly. You create a cheap joy list that lives where you see it: a walk with a friend, library holds, a weekly movie night at home, a recipe that always works, a park you forgot existed. You become the person in your circle who plans alternatives and does it with specificity. You host dinner twice this month and say yes to 1 paid plan you genuinely enjoy, not 5 you resent. You replace a handful of "I deserve" purchases with the sentence "I'm choosing," and you notice the temperature drop in your head. The point of month 5 is not to become antisocial. It is to stop renting your identity from store windows. Once you stop, your savings rate rises without feeling small, because your days contain real things you like. Month 6 locks the gains by raising automation, writing a windfall policy, and setting guardrails that keep you from backsliding. You look at your current savings rate and raise your automatic transfers by a small but real amount, 1 to 3 percentage points, on the same day your paycheck lands. You write a rule for raises and bonuses before they arrive: a fixed share to investments, a fixed share to your emergency fund or debt, a modest slice to remove a friction you actually feel, and a piece to generosity if that's part of your life. You choose a withdrawal rule for the fun category that prevents death by 1,000 swipes, a weekly allowance that resets on Fridays so you never borrow from next Tuesday. You set 3 alerts on your accounts that function like bumpers: 1 for any transaction over an amount that would annoy you, 1 for card not present charges, and 1 for low free spend balance. You also revisit the kitchen, the calendar, and the phone to make sure the defaults you set in month 1 are still pointed at the life you're living now. Month 6 is not a finish line. It is the moment the machine runs without you pushing. Across all 6 months, you keep 1 ritual that takes 10 minutes: the payday sweep. It happens the day money lands. You confirm that transfers fired, that fixed bills are covered, and that the free spend lane is refilled. If an alert popped up about something odd, you act while the details are fresh. Then you close the app. You do not doom scroll net worth or invent anxiety by looking at 5 dashboards. The sweep is too small to dread and powerful enough to keep your plan from leaking. Paired with a weekly glance at the free spend balance and a monthly log of savings rate, it becomes the rhythm section that holds your household song together even when the melody gets complicated. A plan that aims to double savings without considering debt is a plan that wobbles. If you have high interest balances, you automate minimums and schedule an attack payment on payday to your highest rate account or to the smallest balance if momentum is your oxygen. You do not make extra payments contingent on leftover feelings at month end. Months have moods, debt obeys schedules. Each time a balance disappears, you redirect that account's minimum plus your attack payment to the next target the same day, and you allow yourself a small celebration that doesn't involve a new balance. Doubling your savings rate while deleting interest is not just additive, it's multiplicative. Your dollars stop doing double duty as employees and firefighters.
You will notice that the plan contains almost no don'ts. That is deliberate. Humans rebel against deprivation. The trick is to replace rather than remove. You replace late-night browsing with an input you chose. You replace "we should hang out" with a plan at your place. You replace a 5-night delivery habit with 2 nights out and a batch cook that feels like a gift on Thursday. You replace a status car with a paid-off tool that never texts you payment due. You replace a handful of subscriptions with a single upgrade that removes a recurring annoyance. Better shoes for your back, a lamp that makes your evenings softer, a grocery list app you share with your partner so you stop duplicating trips. Each replacement increases the chance you keep the habit, because the habit makes your week better today, not in some abstract later. Generosity belongs in the plan, not as an afterthought. A tiny automatic line for giving each month, whether to a cause or to the people in your life, prevents the pendulum swing between guilt and stinginess. It also keeps you connected to the idea that money is a means to be useful, which makes it easier to say no to purchases that exist to impress. If you tie a small piece of your windfall rule to generosity, you turn sporadic drama into steady help. That steadiness protects your savings rate better than white-knuckle restraint because it keeps your identity clean. You are someone who saves and someone who gives. Those two facts can coexist without math fighting values. At some point in these 6 months, you will encounter a bad week. You will work late, a friend will ask you to celebrate, something in the house will demand a Saturday, and you will feel the old habits tug. This is where you use scripts and staging. Your script for friends is not, "I can't," it is, "Come over Friday, I'm making that dish." Your script for yourself is not, "Be strong," it is, "48 hours, then decide." Your stage is the environment you built, a home that can feed you without a fight, a phone that does not sell to you, a calendar that contains the sweep, and a weekly cheap joy. The bad week passes. The plan survives because it did not require heroics. Most people quit good plans because their plans asked for new personalities. This one asks for new rails. Rails do not get tired. If you share money, you share the plan. You keep 2 small personal allowances so neither of you feels policed. You do a short monthly meeting that contains 3 items: 1 number, savings rate, 1 win, something that worked, and 1 adjustment, a lever to pull next month. You avoid the graveyard of vague promises by writing a tiny change on a sticky note and placing it where it will get hit by life. You celebrate each month with something free or nearly free that marks progress: a long walk, a playlist, a sunrise, a Sunday nap. Doubling a savings rate is easier when the household feels like a team and the plan includes room to feel good today. By the end of 6 months, your savings rate is not a fragile outcome of perfect days. It is a sturdier default created by new plumbing. Your bills pay themselves from the right account. Your transfers move before you see the money. Your free spend balance tells the truth about how much week you have left. Your kitchen hands you dinner often enough that delivery loses its voice. Your phone is less persuasive. Your car is either cheaper or the same but smarter to own. Your housing path is chosen on purpose. Your debt is lower or gone. Your income has a little more slope, and your plan for windfalls captures the energy spikes that used to evaporate. The doubling may not be precise. Maybe you go from 8% to 19, or from 12 to 26. The exact figure matters less than the direction and the ease with which you keep it. What comes next is simple. You don't dismantle the machine that saved you. You raise the automatic transfers by a sliver when a raise arrives. You repeat the bill audit annually. You refresh the 5-meal list when you're bored. You rotate which subscription gets to live this quarter. You schedule preventive care and trust that future you will thank you when a small fix avoids a big bill. You keep hosting because it makes life feel rich while saving money by accident. You repeat the sprint once a year for 30 days if you want to jump. You keep the sweep on the calendar, even when you feel like you could coast. Coasting is for hills, not for households. The point of doubling your savings rate is not to worship a percentage. It is to buy a week that feels the way you hoped adulthood would feel when you were younger. Bills that don't scare you, meals you like, work that builds toward more leverage, evenings with people you enjoy, a phone that serves rather than seduces, and a number in your savings and investments that grows while you sleep. 6 months is enough to build that slope. A year is enough to forget what it felt like before. Do not wait for motivation. Put the rails in today. The train will move even when you are tired. That movement is the sound of your future getting closer, not through grand gestures, but through small, repeatable proof that you can steer your life toward the person you keep saying you want to be.